evening and welcome to the Thursday, March 28th, 2019 meeting of the Northampton School Committee. I'm Mayor David Narkowitz, the chair of the committee, and I'll begin by asking our clerk to call the roll of the school committee.
Can't hear you. Oh, but I still can't hear you way back here.
Oh, I can hear you.
That's the teacher voice.
Okay.
Mayor David Narkowitz.
Present.
Miss Molly Burnham. Present. Ms. Rebecca Busansky. Here. Ms. Laura Fallon. Present. Ms. Ann Hennessy. Present. Mr. Lonnie Kaufman.
Here.
Mr. Downey Meyer. Mr. Howard Moore.
Here.
Ms. Susan Voss.
Present.
And Mr. Ed Zahowski.
Present.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So this is a meeting that is not our normal meeting night. We add additional meetings during our budget season. So this is a meeting that's primarily focused on our ongoing consideration of the FY 2020 budget. We do have a couple of other gift items to accept as well. But we also have announcements from school committee members and then public comment period. So are there any announcements from school committee members? Okay. So the next item on our agenda is the public comment period. I believe we have a sign-up sheet, and we ask people to please state their name and address for the record. I will keep a 3-minute timer, and I just ask that folks please keep your comments at or below 3 minutes so that everyone has an equal chance to share their public comments this evening. So the first person that I have on the list is Michael Stavely Hale. Does that make sense?
Good evening, folks. My name is Mike Stavely Hale. I'm an ESP here at JFK. I've been here good 6 years now, and I'm a union delegate. I'm reading a letter that another ESP asked me to read. These are his words, but largely share many of them. I'm writing this letter in response, as I couldn't be there in person, to the ESP pay raise counter offer the school committee is making to our quite reasonable initial 6% raise request. This is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that ESPs are so disrespected and underappreciated. There is a dissonance between what we are expected to accomplish and how much we are paid and respected for it. No one goes into education for the money, but this should not be used as an excuse to downgrade our vital services as the rest of the country moves upward, to the point that people in the fast food industry are now making more than us. The city of Northampton seems to see ESPs as unnecessary, as illustrated by the purge of them from Bridge Street School 2 years ago. I seem to recall the months that followed were a horror show that resulted in the school's eyes being blackened with not one, but 2 front-page Gazette articles detailing students and adults being assaulted, students being unwatched, a general level of chaos in hallways. Our jobs are not easy. They're not merely handing out a document. Often our jobs require we go above and beyond the level of our pay grade. I meet with the guidance counselor at least twice weekly to discuss problems my students are facing and concerns I have. We are often required to be tutors, instructors, scholars, therapists, life coaches, baggage collectors, guardians, disciplinarians, confidants, monks, chaperones, first responders, and reporters. We would likely be putting our lives on the line as well in the case of a lockdown emergency. Subs, too, are often required to carry this weight and make even less than us. What caliber person do you want looking after your children? Many children see us the most of any staff in the school. This fuzzy in-between line is time is often the lifeblood of schoolwork and is neither noted nor respected by higher-ups in the district. I myself was not evaluated last year and have not been this year to my knowledge. The idea that our collective work is so demonstrably rejected and ignored by an uncaring school committee is depressing. I love the work, I love the kids, but I can't pay the rent with a hug. I might not be back in the district next year, and I'm not the only one. Think carefully about what you're about to do. I don't have much to add to that. Thank
you. The next person signed up is Elizabeth Bogan.
I live at 95 Stroud Avenue, and I also teach first grade at East.
Many of you know me because I come to most of the school committee meetings. If I'm not here, I watch at home. And I know that this is a group of people that cares deeply about our schools. And I know that many of you are educators, both in public schools and in a university setting. And I know that we're all very frustrated by the criminal, literally criminal, underfunding that we get from the state. However, we need to deal with the reality that no more money is coming from the state anytime soon, even though we all agree that it should. The Northampton City Council loves to make grand resolutions about how progressive we are. But Northampton also spends a smaller percentage of our city budget on our schools than the surrounding districts. And yes, that's true even when you pay attention to how different districts pay for health insurance. If we increase the 39% that we currently spend to the 43% of our budget that South Hadley spends, it would put $3 million in the school budget. All of these people are here because of a conversation about the best way to spend less than $700,000. Why do we need to have that conversation? Why do we need to have a conversation about whether or not we're interested in paying our teachers fairly, paying our ESPs fairly, retaining good people, recruiting good people, and having the staffing that we need for our students to be successful? Northampton is an affluent community in this region. Why are we not putting that affluence as a city towards our schools? We shouldn't have to be having this argument. We should be putting our money where our mouth is and actually being the progressive city that we claim to be by adequately funding education and not popping out and blaming the governor. Because that might be true, but the reality of the situation is that we need to deal with the funds that we have now. And we need to adequately and fairly compensate our employees because it's the right thing to do, because it affects morale, because it affects recruitment and retention. But it's also the best thing for the kids. All of those things, they sound like things that are good for teachers, but there's a reason that our work environment is their learning environment is a cliche. Because the room that I work in every day with 22 students that's affected by this budget is the place that they go every day. And it's the place that they spend more time than anywhere else outside their homes. It's a formative experience. It's easy to say that, oh no, we need these other things. There's always something that's going to seem more urgent and more appealing than salaries. But we've seen over the past 10 years that there's always something more urgent. Why do we have to choose? It's nice that sometimes the city throws us a bone with capital improvement budget and Chromebooks. That's a Band-Aid for a bullet hole. Why can't the city do more?
Thank you. The next person who signed up is Heather Brown. It's actually, it's okay. It's more for NCTV to pick up.
Oh,
it's not,
okay.
so it's fine. You'll pick it up.
Okay. I'm Heather Brown. I live in Florence, and I am the Vice President of MACE and an English teacher at Northampton High School. I'm also a member of our bargaining team. In the past 2 days after our bargaining team finally heard and shared the insulting offer of increases less than 2%, I've heard 8 educators tell me of their searches for new jobs and their desire to quit their jobs. I know that this community and this committee appreciate the work of our Northampton educators, but I think that you may not know of our struggles to maintain and remain the outstanding educators that we are. This isn't just about wages, it's about mandates, top-down decision-making, stresses and demands of this never-ending job of serving the youth of this city. As you've seen in the national news, teachers around the country and the world are making their voices heard and advocating with every last drop of energy they have for their students and for the state of public education. We like to think that we're above all of this, but and that social problems don't exist in our paradise, but they do. There are educators who cannot be here tonight because After they've stayed long hours beyond the school day to plan for tomorrow, they may or may not have had a chance to eat dinner, and they're now at their second jobs. Many of our educators can't afford to live in this community, although they spend more time in these school buildings than they do at home without being fairly compensated. Many of my excellent colleagues have left the district in search of living wages. 80% of the teachers that I saw on a list of past Rin-Spoon Outstanding New Teacher Award winners have left our district to find work where they can dedicate themselves to one job of educating students without compromising their own lives. You've been considering an administrative position to help find and retain diverse educators. I would bet if our salary schedules were at all competitive, we would not have much trouble making this happen without paying someone $80,000 to study the problem and fix it. Yeah. The proposed budget, which includes over $700,000 in added positions, is not right for us now. Call for those new positions. Use the money to support the dedicated educators who struggle and succeed every day to help our students excel. Give us a wage increase that makes us competitive. What we've asked for is not even going to accomplish that, but it would be a start. These people that you see here, our school employees, and the future of our whole city are worth it. Thank you.
The next person signed up is Patrick Burke.
Hi, my name is Patrick Burke. I actually live in Holyoke, but I have been a resident of Northampton, and I'm the president of the Hampshire Franklin Central Labor Council, which represents 8,000 members in Hampshire and Franklin County across 20 different unions. And I'm just here tonight in solidarity with my brothers and sisters with the Northampton Association of School Employees. You know, I now work as an internal organizer and negotiator for Service Employees International Union 888, and I'm bargaining with school committees, with school cafeteria workers, with school therapists, and I haven't seen in other communities that I know do not have resources. I have not seen a wage counter less than 2% every year. So that just boggles my mind. And I know that there's always more money to spend, there's always constraints, but right now we are in the middle of a time when teachers are standing up and they're saying we deserve more for our students. This movement is not just in red states that have, where the bad Republicans have been underfunding schools. This is a movement to retake public education. And the whole labor movement stands behind these folks. And I know that there is a need for more money from the state. And I hope that everyone here who's a school committee member does go to Boston and make sure that we can fund our future. But right now, we have to fund our schools here in Northampton. Yeah. Thank you.
The next person signed up is Michelle Andrews.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michelle Andrews. I live at 133 Old Stage Road in West Hatfield. I teach 5th grade at Arlington Ryan Road School. So I'm here tonight to tell you that you cannot pass this budget tonight. It is unconscionable that you would consider settling on a budget before the school committee has completed negotiating with NACE employees for a fair and appropriate salary increase. So let's finish this matter. You own a home, and like all homes, it needs attention and maintenance. So your home needs a new coat of paint, and that questionable roof that you've been avoiding for about a decade now sprung a leak. It's time to maintain your home. But you choose to ignore required maintenance on your existing home, and instead you opt for a new addition. Your investment is falling apart. So I chose to take a significant pay cut when I left Springfield to join Northampton. I've been an educator in the school district since 2005. I want to compare just the past decade's salary increases with the rate of inflation. And I got this data from the statbureau.org, which I just passed to you. In 2009, we had a 3% increase. The inflation rate was 2.7. In 2010, we had a 0% increase. The inflation rate was 1.5. In 2011, there was a 2% increase. The inflation rate was 3%. In 2012, we got a 1% increase. The inflation rate was 1.7. In 2013, we received 0.5%. The inflation rate was 1.5%. In 2014, our increase was 1.0025. The inflation rate was 0.8%. In 2015, we received 1.505%. The inflation rate was 0.7%. In 2016, we received 1.5025%. The inflation rate was 2.1. In 2017, we received 1%. The inflation rate was 2.1. And in 2018, we received 1.25, and the inflation rate was 1.9. So to summarize, over the past decade, our wage increases have increased by 12.76%, while inflation has risen 18%. So not only are we one of the lowest paid districts in the state, the city of Northampton hasn't even kept up with the rate of inflation. You need to finish negotiating with NACE and pay your employees first before you pass a budget. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Suzanne Strauss.
Suzanne Strauss, Florence, Massachusetts. Parent of 2 graduates of Northampton High School, the Northampton Public Schools, and I teach at the English department. I do want to applaud all of the people who are here and also everybody who said something. You know, I stand on the shoulder of giants. Over the last years, we've been talking about the social and emotional health of our students and our schools. People's social and emotional health precede our ability to learn and function. Without it, we're living in a state of fear, and that is where problems arise for all of us. I believe that students who graduate with a feeling of well-being and confidence can do anything they need in this world, and that is what I try to promote in my classes. So when I think about the proposed budget, I think about the fear implicit in it. There's fear that the personnel we have currently cannot surmount the needs in the schools. And there's fear that we cannot pay people a living wage that we rightly deserve. There's fear that if you follow the teachers' proposals, you might look weak in front of the other unions, and then that would spiral into unknown consequences. Here's my response. It's time to acknowledge the sexism at work here. Yes, in Northampton, the budget it always has. Roughly speaking, 80% of the NACE members are female. The fact that we do not, I am not going to say cannot, because that's a false claim, but the fact that we do not offer a living wage to a workforce that is highly educated, smart, competent, dedicated, creative, and caring is criminal. And we don't talk about this, we bury it. So let's talk about it and stop the fear around talking about it. My own story. 28 years of teaching, the last 21 in Northampton, and as Michelle so beautifully stated, I've never really gotten a cost of living increase. Over the past 5 or 6 years, my spouse's work dried up, and he has faced ageism in the job market. So I have been the primary wage earner in my family at approximately $60-some-odd thousand a year. Every month, we dig into our savings to pay our bills. You know what my so-called raise of $600 for last year buys? And that's with a master's degree and 30 credits, or essentially 2 master's degrees. It buys me a tank of heating oil. But wait, it's not really a full tank, because I have to subtract the increase in healthcare costs, the increase in parking costs downtown, the increase in whatever. So it's a net loss in pay. And it has been for every single budget cycle that I've worked in Northampton, except for maybe the first year I came here. And did I mention that I work a part-time job weekly to supplement my income? In fact, I finished my other job at 5:30. So I have a few suggestions. 1, Ask the people who do direct services with students. And by that I mean all the NACE departments, because the custodians and the cafeteria workers and the secretaries and the ESPs are filled with good ideas. Number 2, own the sexism and do something to correct it. Let's not say we don't have it here because the coffee is strong and so are the women. 3, be creative. If you can't afford better wages, let every NACE member who lives in town forgo property taxes for 3 years of the budget cycle. And find a way to reimburse out-of-towners. 4, do not pass the budget as it is. 5, relax. Relax your fear. Take your time. Do the budget right.
The next person signed up is Robert Parker.
Hi, I'm Robert Parker. I am a Northampton resident, 23 Pleasant Street. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a member of the union. I'm just a community member. I'm a director of strategy at a local branding firm, and what's relevant about that is I'm able to work with some rock stars at the University of Michigan School of Education and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and I've learned a lot from them. So I know that we're all well-intentioned, we're all trying to come to the bottom of this problem. So what I wanted to do tonight is kind of take an outside perspective on what's going on from my point of view as a community member, put that out there as the problem, and then look at it from 3 different perspectives. So here's the problem that I see. Northampton is the lowest paid school district of its size in the state of Massachusetts. The first way I'm going to look at that would be as if I were a teacher. I would feel unvalued, and I'd feel taken for granted, and I'd be looking for another job. How would you feel if your salary hadn't even kept up with the rate of inflation for more than a decade? What does it say about how your school committee sees you when every district around you finds the budget to pay their teachers more? So here's the problem again. Northampton is the lowest paid school district of its size in the state of Massachusetts. Let's look at that from the perspective of fiscal responsibility. Each new teacher is an investment the district makes, but what Northampton isn't doing is protecting that investment. So you're going to attract teachers, but you're not going to actually retain them because they will be moving to other districts as soon as they're able, and as soon as my taxpayer dollars have been invested in training them. That's not great. So let's look at that problem again. The problem is Northampton is the lowest paid school district of its size in the state of Massachusetts. How does that make me feel as a community member? It makes me feel angry. I feel duped. I feel embarrassed. I feel like the positive assumptions about the values of our area have been weaponized and used against me. We live in a place called the Knowledge Corridor in the state of Massachusetts, which is known for how it treats its educators. And I found it almost impossible to believe that my city and my local government has treated and continues to treat its teachers so poorly, not keeping up with the rate of inflation. This is the kind of story that makes headlines, and that's my job, to make headlines. It's a lot of fun. But I feel like when the community finds out what's actually going on, there's going to be a lot of outrage. So you can be proactive about that and not pass the budget, or you can pass it and see what happens. So I'm going to wrap up my time by listing these places out. West Virginia, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Arizona, Los Angeles, Denver, Oakland, Richmond, Chicago. That's a list of places where teachers have gone on strike over the past year. So if the school committee is unwilling to repair the wage damages caused over the past decade, and if the school committee does not start valuing the retention of Northampton's excellent teachers, I, as a community member, encourage the union and the teachers to strike. Northampton is the lowest paid school district of its size in the state of Massachusetts. Thank you.
The next speaker is Brett Costello.
our schools across the state, so just passing some more materials for you to consider as we move forward. You folks in the audience have them as well. I live in East Hampton, but I've taught math here at JFK for 6 years, and I'm going to get a little bit more personal. I'd like to share some of my experiences planning, budgeting for myself and my family over the last year, building on what some of the speakers before me, Michelle, our community member, and Suzanne have said. So I'm asking everyone in the room to join me for a little audience participation, if you'll indulge me here. If this statement is also true for you, as it is true for me, please stand with me. If you or your family's out-of-pocket health care expenses have been $500 or more in the last year, please stand with me. Thank you. If you have had to take on a second job, including some of our in-district work or side hustles to make ends meet in the last year, please stand with me. If you or your family's housing, heating, and living expenses have increased only $300 or more in the last year, please stand with me. Thank you. If you have had to battle student loans or you're worried about paying for your own kids' college educations, please stand. Thank you. And my last one, if you have spent out of your own pocket at least $100 on school supplies this year, thank you. Those expenses that we all just identified, that represents the entirety of the raise I would get. To continue to widen this gap that you've already heard about between the current costs of living and our compensation is not acceptable, and not in a community that prides itself on its social justice foundation. Especially when I think ahead and I put myself in the shoes of our retirees who have given years of service to this district and then face shrinking wages and even greater increases in healthcare costs. We have to come up with a more humane solution to this problem. I know that the review of the school budget is scheduled for your meeting tonight, and I urge you to postpone your decision until you can find a way to fund the needs in our district with a focus on equity. Consider the needs these NACE members just showed you. Consider the gap that continues to grow between our expenses and our compensation, and it's been growing for more than a decade. I urge you to pause before you approve this budget so we can find a solution that creates capacity in our district and promotes equity for our students, our NACE members, and throughout the city of Northampton. Thank you.
The next speaker is Krista Shirello.
Yes. I'm going to try to talk loud because I was standing in the back and I know it's hard to hear back there. So I'm Krista Shirello and I live in East Hampton, and I'm in my 20th year in the guidance department at JFK. Never before have I felt compelled to speak in front of this group or on this topic. But I'm finding myself feeling like I can't sit this one out any longer. For the last 10 of those years, I've rolled with the crowd of educators in Northampton who've averaged a 1.08 salary increase each year, and I somehow managed to swallow the party line that there just isn't any more money in the budget. And I believe that was likely true. After all, I know none of us are in this work for the money. We chose to be here because of our commitment to our students and our passion for guiding their education. I also think that, like many other faculty in Northampton, I felt like I accepted meager increases out of some kind of loyalty. But the gap in pay that I'm now seeing on the charts that sets Northampton teachers at the bottom of salaries for comparable surrounding districts is telling me it's time to speak up. I've been watching my colleagues in recent years roll with the tide of increased demands, greater problems to solve with fewer resources resources, more and more students with greater needs, and I am extremely proud of the job that we all do. But I need to put it out there that we have reached the tipping point in terms of how many more times we can ask educators in Northampton to take one for the team. It would be nothing less than insulting for everyone involved to not find a way to do it differently this year. More and more we're seeing a changing student population with greater needs. We've been asking our teachers to show up in the classroom, dig deep, and be creative and find solutions. And it's time for everyone in Northampton to approach our school budget challenges with this same directive. Show up, dig deep, and be creative in finding solutions. It's my understanding that the proposed budget includes more than $700,000 in new positions or initiatives, which I have no doubt we well need and are long overdue. But I'm here tonight to ask that you not approve the budget at this time. Because if you do, you will once again set us up to fund what is needed in our schools at the cost of the teachers who are doing the job today. I'm imploring that you negotiate a fair and long overdue salary adjustment that will bring Northampton educators closer to what they deserve before you add new spending to the budget. It's no longer okay that Northampton educators are near the bottom. I'm asking you to support our teachers and students by saying that we can't continue to try to solve what is a very old problem for the school budget in Northampton the way that we've been doing it for at least the last 10 years. Our teachers and our students deserve more than that. And I'm asking everyone here, show up, dig deep, and be creative in finding some new solutions. Thank you.
The next speaker is Mary Cowie.
Good evening. I'm Mary Cowie. I live at 29 Morrill Park. I teach at Jackson Street School, and I'm a member of NACE. First of all, I would like to give an update on the Fund Our Future campaign. I was here at the last school committee meeting asking you to join us on the bus to Boston, on the standouts in front of our school. We had standouts at every Northampton public school building on March 21st. That same night, City Council passed a resolution supporting the Fund Our Future campaign. The next day, on the 22nd, the Gardner Auditorium at the State House was packed. Northampton was well represented by a delegation of 10, including MTA members, your mayor, superintendent, members and parents from school committees, school local, families with power, and school committees, school councils. One takeaway is that the Joint Legislative Committee on Education is not yet really listening well. So let's increase the press, raise our voices, take to the streets, and continue to demand the state increase funding to our public schools. Speaking of listening well, I'm also here to implore you to postpone your vote tonight on the school budget. I have been teaching in the Northampton Public Schools for more than 20 years. I have a bachelor's degree, a master's in education, and 30 graduate credits in math education. I have expertise in culturally relevant pedagogy, family and community engagement, and math education. And yet, after 22 years, advanced degrees, extensive professional development, my annual salary is still far below the average teacher's salary in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Do you think I'm an average teacher? Once a year, I get a teacher evaluation that says I'm exemplary. But every 2 weeks, I get a paycheck from the city of Northampton that says I'm well below average. I'm asking you, please delay the vote on the school budget tonight. Don't rush, don't tie your hands. Let's keep talking and listening. Let's keep bargaining in good faith for a fair contract for all school employees. for the good of our students and our community. Thank you.
The next person signed up to speak is Rose Bookbinder.
Thanks. Hi everyone, my name is Rose Bookbinder and I'm an organizer with Massachusetts Jobs with Justice and the Pioneer Valley Workers Center. I'm also on the interim board of the Area Labor Federation, which is our central labor council, which represents over 40,000 workers here in Western Mass. And this is the organizing we did in less than 24 hours. So we're ready. We're ready to take on this fight. I'm also a proud graduate of Leeds Elementary School. Yeah! JFK Middle School and Northampton High School. And, public education is the foundation of our community, of our country. And it's embarrassing that we've given our school employees a 1.08% raise. That's embarrassing. It's shameful. And we should do better. Many of you, as have said, show up to the Fund Our Future events, to the events to support our teachers, to support our school employees. The ways that we really show it is by making sure that their paychecks every 2 weeks show that support. And you know, I hear that you're operating with a surplus this year in your budget. So this is the year that you should be giving folks raises. And as mentioned, folks are rising up all across the country, and many of us here are inspired by that, and we're ready to do more, and it's awakened our communities to see that we have to fund our public education and that we need to share that. And I think all of us here are ready to bring 5 more people next time, maybe 10 more people next time. And we may as well just do the right thing now so that we don't have to keep escalating. So.
The next person signed up is Kim Gerald. Gerald? Sorry.
Gerald.
Sorry, I messed that one up. Sorry, Kim.
Very much Gerald. Kim Gerald, 66 Pine French Drive, Northampton, proud Jackson Street teacher, proud Mace member, and proud parent of children who went through this district. Like many others here, it doesn't matter, just talk louder. Like many other teachers here tonight and staff people, I'm asking you to weigh the budget priorities before you take a vote. While I'm sure there are many arguments for creating new positions in our district, there's something much more essential that needs to be defended: all of our current employees. As a teacher with 24 years in the district, I know that at the heart of our district's success is good teaching. If you want to retain and attract good teachers, you need to be competitive with neighboring districts. And as you well know, we are not even close. Now, one of the proposed new positions is that of equity director. As an advocate for equity in the district for my entire career, I think that's admirable, but the district really needs to first do something concrete to diversify our teaching staff so that it begins to reflect who the students are. To bring in qualified teachers of color, we need to pay a competitive wage. Or those educators, and this is already happening, will go to Westfield or Holyoke or Amherst, really almost any of our neighboring districts, where they'll make $5,000 to $12,000 more a year than in Northampton. So, as many people have said, we're not keeping pace with inflation. I too am a primary wage earner in my family. This is insulting, it's wrong, and your employees who make this district what it is deserve better.
The next person signed up is Maria Garcia. I'm sorry if I messed up your first name.
Hello, my name is Maria Garcia. I'm a teacher at Jackson Street School and a proud Mace member. I live at 345 Spring Street. So I'm here to talk to the school committee and to my colleagues, and to say that I understand you're considering this $700,000 towards mostly new positions. I'm asking very, very respectfully that you not approve this budget. My colleagues and I are among the lowest paid teachers in the state. Yet, our administrators' salaries are comparable to big cities like Boston and other cities that are much bigger than Northampton. I've worked for the Northampton schools for over 20 years. And during that time, I've never received a salary raise of more than 1.5%, except for maybe 1 year, I think, that we got 3%. Over 20 years. Meanwhile, the demands of our job continue to increase. There's less help in the classroom. We're required to attend more meetings. We have to spend more time and energy doing teacher evaluations. We're required to do more testing of children. We're required to implement that data onto data systems that nobody looks at, taking away from our teaching our students. One of the items in the budget is a diversity equity director. So I'm going to talk to you from the point of view of a person of color, because I am a person of color. Believe me that an equity director would not be the reason that I come to Northampton. So if you want to hire more people of color in your school system, give us competitive salaries. Treat your staff fairly. Don't implement new rules without speaking to your staff. I would assume that you would want their feedback when you're making changes into the system. I love my job. I love the children that I work with. I know that families appreciate me, but if we don't have a more equitable level of pay, we're not going to retain good teachers. If the school committee wants to be fiscally responsible, which I know they often say this is why we can't get a pay raise, then don't agree with the current proposed budget. And make sure that future budgets include substantial raises in salaries for teachers. And I'm going to borrow a phrase from recent movement. Time's up. You're not looking at the same union you were looking at the last negotiations. We're ready to do different things, and we want an increase in our salary. We're organized, and we're ready to do whatever we need to do to get an increase in our salaries.
The next person signed up is David Cantler.
Hi, my name is David Cantler. I teach at Jackson Street and Bridge Street schools. In 2016, Northampton voted nearly 4-1 to reject the ballot measure to expand the charter school cap. Yet it feels so confusing to feel so under-supported financially by our school committee and the policies over the last 10 years. So I ask you to please start the work of bringing our wages in line with our peers, and at least honor the basic cost of living increases that should just be automatic. It feels jaw-dropping that we even need to ask for our wages to be in line with inflation. I also feel that there should not be a choice between fully staffing our schools and honoring wage increases for our employees. That just feels so mind-blowing to feel like they have to be set. Either we have fully staffed schools and all the positions we need, or we honor wage increases that we should have. Why are we in that scarcity mindset? So please, I implore you to figure this out and work with our union and work with the people of Northampton to honor our education, as I know you all value it deep inside. So please put this budget on pause. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person signed up is Stephanie Grimaldi.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Grimaldi. I'm a parent of 3 Northampton public school kids, one successfully out of the house right now. Yeah, I'm also a teacher educator, so I've been in and out of schools a lot, and I want to tell you, you've got gold here in your teachers, and it's very depressing to me that it is not reflected in their wages. I'd also like to tell you, if you think teaching is the only job teachers do, then you're sadly mistaken. The other roles teachers take on besides teaching, they're nurses, they're social workers, they're psychologists, they're mediators, they're cheerleaders, they're coaches, and if they got paid to do all those jobs, we wouldn't really be here right now. Not to mention the money that they spend out of their own pockets. I mean, I'm thinking about school supplies. I'm thinking about snacks, books, hand sanitizer, paper towels, wipes, having to go to professional development that the school cannot fund all the time, having to acquire a master's to keep their license. Those things are not cheap. That's not to mention the things that they do on their own time, right? That also costs money. Generally, time equals money. Letters of recommendations that they're writing for college-bound seniors. Coming to sports and theater events that they don't need to do. Providing extra help, supporting fundraising initiatives. Jumping through the hoops that the state is putting out for teachers to do day in and day out. Mentoring teacher candidates. Providing a place for people who want to be teachers to learn how to be great teachers. We throw time and money at the things we think are important. The teachers have put in the time. We need to put in the money. 19th lowest in the state, not cool. Totally shameful, totally unacceptable.
The next person signed up is Joan Cameron.
My name is Joan Cameron. I teach at Jackson Street School. I basically was very emotional. Everyone said that's fine, so here I am. I have 2 kids, Northampton Public Schools, and I just first and foremost want to say this is what educators do. The amazing things that people have come up here and said are just incredible, and I echo what everyone else has said, especially the commentary that has to do with trying to attract teachers that are from diverse backgrounds and that reflect our students. That if we don't have competitive wages, we can't get those teachers in our district. We really want them, we really do. And we're trying to hustle to get them, but if you can't pay people something that's going to draw them in and retain them, we're not going to get them. So if we really want to have this teaching staff that would reflect our students, we really have to put some money behind it. So please reconsider and thank you.
The next person signed up is Andrea Agito.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Agito. I am a resident of this great city. I raised my family here. My children have gone through the Northampton Public Schools. And I teach kindergarten at Ryan Road Elementary School. I am the teacher chapter coordinator for the Northampton Association of School Employees. And I am here to tell you no more. Our school employees give their heart and soul to their students, to the students of Northampton every day. We love our jobs. And because we love our jobs and we love our students, we have allowed this committee and the city that we love to take advantage of us. No more. Northampton has some of the highest property values in the area, much in part because of our amazing public schools. And our schools are amazing because of these people, because of our employees who feed them, love them, and educate them every single day. They put all of themselves into their work, but these same people are not adequately compensated or appreciated for their expertise and their passion. No more. Our school committee uses fear and shame year after year to get us to kneel down and accept whatever pittance is left over for us. We are told each and every time, we'll have to lay people off. We'll have larger class sizes. We won't have extra support for our students. We'll need an override. And it goes on and on. The fear for our students and the shame that the 80% female workforce has in asking for what they deserve is a tactic that I've witnessed from your negotiating subcommittee time and time again for many contracts. I'm here to say no more. The mayor stated that he's going to put the additional revenue coming into the city in the fiscal stability fund. But our employees don't have fiscal stability funds. I, like many of us, live paycheck to paycheck. We don't have savings accounts. Many of us are one catastrophe away from going into debt or worse. I'm here to say no more. Over the last 10 years, our teachers' salaries have increased by an average of 1.08%, while our superintendent and principal salaries have increased by around 2.5 to 3% on most years, and new positions have been created without negotiating fair raises. No more. The mayor also talked about how grateful he was that we were able to join the GIC and keep the city healthcare costs down. This was another example of school employees taking one for the team. NACE's vote was what allowed us to stay in the GIC. We did that to keep healthcare premiums low, which is definitely good for the city. But our employees have been hit each year with added deductibles and co-pays, in many cases resulting in a pay cut because our wage increase didn't cover our added healthcare costs. No more. We are here to tell you no more. We are not going to sit by and quietly and be disrespected. A 1.3% raise is so disrespectful to the blood, sweat, and tears that we put into our school each and every day. But I can't be upset with you for offering it because we've accepted it for more than 10 years. We're here to say, no more! We're done. No more.
The next person signed up is Tom Chang.
Hi, I'm Tom Chang. I teach 5th grade at Jackson Street School, and I have 3 kids in the district. I'm in the middle of teaching research-based argument. And I wish my class were here. Because from my mind, well, in my mind there's really no way that I could imagine that this body would be passing this budget tonight after what she was saying. Which is the one reason why I hope that is actually the outcome, because if my students saw the impassioned mini narratives, the well-cited data, the clear reasons and evidence that was just presented to you, and it wasn't an effective argument, I'm not sure how I would explain that to them. Another thing I teach them, though, is not to be repetitive, so most of the things I would like to say have already been said. I just would add one personal thing. It's true that I took a roughly $10,000 pay cut to come work here. I don't regret it. I love being a teacher at Northampton. By the time my kids graduate from Northampton High School, which I hope they do, that means that, never mind what I'll have lost in retirement or whatever, at this rate I'll have lost $150,000 or something like that. You've already heard why that would be horrible. But there's something else that would be lost that's really not something I could stomach, which is I want my kids to go to school in a district where their friends have black teachers, have Latino teachers, have Asian teachers, teachers from all different backgrounds. And right now, the only thing that's financially incentivized in Northampton is leaving.
Yes.
I'm staying. I hope what happens next is good. We have an opportunity, you have an opportunity to be leaders during what is a national crisis and could have outcomes for our country that are really beautiful. So not only am I confident that you won't pass this budget tonight, I'm highly confident that you'll pass a 666 raise.
The next person signed up is Angela Falavolita. Couldn't tell if it was a V or an R, I'm sorry.
That's okay. My name is Angela Falavolita. I live at 169 Bridge Street, Northampton, and I teach preschool at the Bridge Street School. I moved to Northampton because I wanted to live somewhere with a strong sense of community. I chose to teach in Northampton expecting the same. When I started in this district, I was overwhelmed by the support I was given by my fellow seasoned teachers. It was their help that I felt like I was capable of doing this job. Over the past few years, I have had the pleasure of working with and learning from these expert teachers. In a climate where it is on a daily basis that we read about funding cuts for public schools, I find myself, a new teacher, feeling a sincere lack of hope. I am asking you to consider what you value most about a teacher. Maybe it's their rigorous work ethic. Maybe it's their professionalism. Maybe it's their ability to create an environment where all children can learn safely. Maybe it's the late nights and early mornings you see them working at their desks when they're not getting paid. Maybe it's the smile that they bring to all of the students in their class. I am here before you all to remind you of one thing. Northampton public school teachers are all of those things and more. Woo! As I stand before you all, I ask that you really take the time to consider the teachers you have who are working for you. They are very valuable. We are lucky to have these teachers, and I'm asking that you please do not vote for a budget that is going to allocate money for new positions before you take care of our current Northampton teachers that are working so hard to make a difference. I'm a new teacher, and I'm not convinced this is the district I want to stay in if something isn't going to change.
The next person signed up is Paula Regano Murray.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Paula Regano Murray, and I live at 45 Finch Street. I have been an ESP in the Northampton Public Schools for 9 years. 3 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. In those terrifying days, I realized that if he couldn't beat this disease, my family could not survive on my income alone. And yet, there are ESPs who do, many working 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. To drive this point home, this year my property taxes rose by $651 in the city of Northampton. On Monday night, a 1.3% pay raise was proposed, which amounts to an additional $228 a year. At this rate, I need a 3% pay raise just to cover the increase in my property taxes. That doesn't cover the increase in sewer and water, the rate of inflation, which, by the way, has averaged 2% a year for the last 3 years, or any other cost of living increases. I recently saw a job posting for parking enforcement with a starting hourly rate of $17.30. The starting hourly rate for an ESP is currently $14.14. The proposed pay raises at the end of the 3-year contract do not even bring entry-level ESPs to $15 an hour, which will be the new minimum wage in the state of Massachusetts. And speaking of minimum wage, in 2009 it was $8, and I was hired at approximately $13. At that time, the city felt that my job was important enough to the district that I deserved to be paid $5 an hour above minimum wage. This year, minimum wage rose 9% from $11 to $12 an hour, and I am so grateful for that. However, the gap between minimum wage and starting wages in the district, which is now just $2 for ESPs, has not kept up, further devaluing our jobs. To add insult to injury, ESPs such as myself, who work with the most challenging students, receive an extra 25 cents an hour. Let me repeat that. The ESPs working with the most challenging students, physically, medically, and or emotionally, are paid an extra 25 cents an hour. If you think that's not bad, I challenge you to spend a day in my world. I cannot speak for every ESP, but for myself, I work at the high school with the social emotional learners. I am sworn at, harassed, and on occasion physically threatened. I have been told by students that I am nothing, that I don't matter, that they can do whatever they want, they don't have to listen to me, and those are just the things I can say here in a public forum. I promise you, it is far worse and expletive-laden, and it is every day. For this, I am paid that extra 25 cents an hour. And if you are not as good at math as I am, that is $8.13 a week. Which doesn't even cover snacks for my room. But I do it because I love my job and I love my kids. I'm almost done. Our schools have an excellent reputation, and that is the direct result of our teachers, counselors, nurses, and support staff. We have phenomenal teachers, and we are struggling to keep them. We cannot continue to pay some of the lowest wages in the state and expect to hire and maintain the best teachers. One need look no further than the AP Bio program at the high school to see just how difficult it is to hire quality teachers on our current salary scales. Teachers, all teachers, whether in the district for 20 years or 20 minutes, deserve to be paid what they are worth. At what point as a community and a society do we make the conscientious decision to value our children by valuing their educators? Our school employees deserve to be paid fair wages. There is $650,000 appropriated in this budget for new hires. I implore you to not pass a budget that allocates that much money to new positions before fairly paying those who are already giving you their very best every single day. Thank you.
The next person signed up is Kate Toddhunter.
Yeah, Kate.
I love you, Paula. Kate Toddhunter, 53 Maple Street, Florence. Let me tell you about a job I love. I teach history to your children at Northampton High School. Or perhaps I taught them, or will teach them in the years to come. In addition to that, I prepare them for lifelong learning. Being an engaged citizen, I write their college recommendation letters, I advise them, I lead foreign trips abroad, I encourage them to follow their passions and interests, I go to sporting events, concerts, and plays. Let me tell you about my background. My first career was in international development. I have 3 degrees, including 2 advanced ones. In total, I have taught my discipline both here in the United States and abroad for 2 decades. I am truly blessed to do what I do. I also believe wholeheartedly that our community and this school committee, by extension, want to do right by our schools. In fact, let me tell you about what I am worth. I am worth less in this town, over $12,000 less than an Amherst teacher, over $8,000 less than a Westfield teacher, over $7,000 less than a Hampshire regional teacher. Like my colleagues throughout this wealthy state of Massachusetts, I am a professional. And like you, I pay my mortgage, pay for health insurance, make car payments, put my children through college. But let me tell you, even though I love my work, I am no martyr and will not stand for such inequity and, frankly, disrespect. Thank you.
The next person signed up is Kate Parrott.
who is here by choice. And as I stand here tonight and I look around at my school committee and my mayor, I see friends. I see people who I've spent the last 16 years collaborating with, and I think that we can do better. I'm not going to get up here and shout at you about statistics, because you know what? You know them, and I know you're trying to do the best by us, as you can, but you can do better. We can all do better. I work hard. I have a side hustle like a lot of my colleagues. I have stayed in Northampton because I love the community. I love going around town, going to a silent auction and running into you, going on vacation and running into you. I enjoy all of you, and I think of you as partners, not as my adversaries. And so I ask you, tonight, please, have my back like I've had yours. You know that I take my job seriously. Every single one of you who had a child go through Northampton's public middle school, I taught your children, me. And I have a side hustle to pay my bills. I live paycheck to paycheck. That's not unique. I know that some of you sitting here at this table also do. But we need to work together. We need to have each other's backs. I'm not here out of anger. I'm here out of a loyal employee who loves this community. And with that, I ask you this evening just to please consider taking a deep breath, seeing the emotion, hearing the emotion in this room, and collaborate with me again. Thank you.
The next person signed up is Rachel Stavely Hale.
Hi, my name is Rachel Stavely Hale. I'm the math department chair at Northampton High School. I live in the Slowville Schoolhouse on Hatfield Street in Northampton. I've been teaching math at Northampton High School for 12 years. It is literally my dream job. I went to Smith College as an undergrad, and I did my student teaching at Smith. Allison Keith was my mentor, and now she's my colleague. It is literally the only thing I ever wanted, to live in Northampton and be a teacher here. And that house that I referenced was my other dream, aside from my family and my career. I fantasized about that house ever since I moved to Northampton. And 4 years ago, I finally had an opportunity to buy my dream house. I became a first-time homeowner at the age of 40. Mike and I wanted to raise our daughter here in Northampton, mostly because of the Northampton Public Schools and because what an amazing community Northampton is, but we couldn't afford to buy a house here. So we rented. And 4 years ago, we're lucky enough, I have a friend who's a mortgage broker who helped us out, and my dad helped us out with a down payment, and we were able to buy our dream home. So really, I am living my dream right now. I have an amazing family. I am doing the job I only ever wanted, and I'm living in a community I love. But I live paycheck to paycheck. It is really hard to make ends meet. Right now, my checking account is $300 in the hole because of the surprise plumbing bill. There are things you just can't avoid, and that's what life is like. And I knew taking this position that I was not always going to be flush with money, or really ever, and that's okay. But I feel a sense of disrespect at this point from the school committee. I have hoped that we work as a team. We have had lots of opportunity to see each other over the years as we worked on math curriculum, and I have always tried to come to you as allies and hope that you would have my back in public discourse and in the work that we do collaboratively. And I haven't ever said anything about the terrible pay that we get. I didn't say anything when we took a 3-year period with not any pay increases because it was that or have you laid off teachers. I haven't said anything about the fact that I basically have done the work of a secondary mathematics curriculum coordinator without ever being paid for it. I lend my expertise because there's no one in the administrative team in this district who has a background in STEM, and I'm really glad to help out with that collaborative work. It has been my dream since I joined the district to have there be better K-12 coordination of mathematics curriculum, and I've been really happy to do that work. And I haven't asked for extra pay to do it. But I just feel like when here we are finally saying, can we have a decent cost of living increase, to have you come back with a paltry increase that you came back to us with, it's just insulting. We work so hard and we love our jobs,
And I have seen morale in this district just go down the toilet in my 12 years here. In the faculty room, we used to talk about curriculum and practice, and now everyone talks about how exhausted they are. We have a huge cohort of students in our district now who have significant social emotional need. And I know exactly what Paul is talking about because she and I have kids in common. And they say the same things to me that they do to her. It's exhausting work. We deserve, at minimum, a cost of living increase. Please, seriously, do not approve this budget at this point. Please finish your negotiations with us first.
So I'm going, this is everyone who signed up. Is there another sign-up sheet there, or is that
You have two?
I have two sign-up sheets.
That's all that there were.
Okay, so that's the folks who signed up. Are there other folks who wish to speak who haven't signed up? Or can we begin the meeting? Okay, thank you very much for all your public comment. I do feel like I need to also just provide you a little bit of an outline of what our process is. By charter, the school committee, as well as the Smith Vocational Board, have to pass their budget by April 15th of this year. So we basically have this meeting, and then we have our next meeting on April 12th. To do that. We actually schedule extra meetings in the months of March and April so that we can have additional deliberation. So we do have the budget on the agenda tonight for discussion, but we also have until April 12th to complete that. But that is a deadline by the charter.
It's the 11th.
I'm sorry, the 11th, I apologize. But it's before the 15th, so which is when the deadline is. So that's just sort of the background for why we have that posted that way tonight. We do have some other, just a couple of other votes on some gifts, which we can put off, we can take now or put off. We also have an executive session scheduled, which is an opportunity for the school committee to come together in executive session and discuss our latest meeting with NACE and where we stand on that relative to the budget. So that's the agenda for tonight. And do we want to take those gifts now, or what would we like to do? Okay, so the first item on the agenda is a gift to the NHS Athletic Boosters. This is for $4,988. Ms. Lamico, do you want to discuss that?
I'd like to just clarify that the NHS Athletic Boosters will be giving us a check for $49.88, and it'll be for transportation to spring off-site practices.
Okay, so this is to do practice, off-site practice, to pay for transportation. Is there a motion to approve that gift? So moved. Is there a second? Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded to approve this generous gift from the Athletic Boosters. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next is a gift from the NHS PTO of an art printing press, $3,553.60. I believe it's the money to pay for it, I assume.
That's the exact amount that we've already coordinated with the company that's going to cost the printing press and a couple of other items to go along with it.
Okay. Is there a motion made to accept that gift? So. Is there a second? Second. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So we have, I would, as I believe I indicated earlier to the school committee when we were, superintendent was updating us on the agenda, we have on the agenda the discussion and vote on the FY 2020 budget. We also have an executive session scheduled, and I would like to have us take that executive session first so that we can have an opportunity to update the full school committee on our negotiations, most recent negotiations, before we take up the rest of the agenda. Ms. Fallon.
I guess that, so you don't want us to address point 6 until after the executive session?
Point 6. No, I'd like us to do the executive session. Yes. Would someone make a motion? Is there a motion?
Motion to move into executive session under Massachusetts General Law, Open Meeting Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Northampton Association of School Employees, whereas an open session would have a detrimental effect and further details would compromise the reason for going into executive session.
Is there a second? Okay. This requires a roll call vote. All those in favor would say aye. Those opposed would say nay. And I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Ms. Laura Fallon? Yes. Ms. Sam Hennessy? No. Mr. Ron Kaufman?
Can I abstain?
I believe you should abstain.
I'll abstain.
Yeah.
Mr. Dan Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Howard Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Susan Bosch?
No.
Mr. Ed Zahowski?
Abstain.
Mayor David Markowitz?
Yes.
Ms. Bonnie Burnham?
Yes.
Ms. Rebecca Bustansky?
Yes.
Your Honor, the motion passes.
Okay. So I just need to tell the public that we are going to move into executive session, but we will not. We will actually return to open session once we finish the executive session. We'll be moving into the adjacent room for that executive session, but we will return to open session. And again, we're doing so because under Mass General Law, to have this discussion in open session would have a detrimental effect on the school committee's negotiating ability. So we will now move into executive session, but then we will return to open session. We are now reconvening in open session of the Northampton School Committee, March 28th, 2019. We've just returned from an executive session, and the only item remaining on this evening's agenda is the FY20 budget, 2020 budget, and I do want to just again state, just as a process matter, that under the charter, we are required, the school committee is required to adopt a budget by April 15th. So, so that is the requirement in the Smith Vocational Agricultural High School Board of Trustees, the same. And then the city is required to pass its budget, submit its budget by May 15th, and then obviously by June 30th pass the budget. So that's, I just want to understand the context of that. So, Ms. Fallon, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to postpone the vote on the FY20 budget until our next meeting on April 11th.
So there's been a motion made to postpone consideration of the FY 2020 budget until our next meeting on April 11th. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on that? Any? Okay. Hearing none. All.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does this exclude the idea of talking about the budget?
Well, if it's a motion to postpone, that means postponing, yes, until the next meeting.
Well, my understanding was we were going to discuss and then we were going to vote. For tonight, we were going to discuss and then we were going to vote. Is that as a two-stage?
That was what was on the agenda, was a discussion.
Yeah.
That we put vote on the agenda because we would have to have it on there in case we took a vote, because we'd have to have noticed that. But that doesn't mean we have to take a vote. Just like on any other issue, we can postpone consideration. So
Again, maybe I'll just ask for clarity what you're, just can you help me understand, are you asking for the end of discussion or are you asking as well as not taking a vote?
It really is a parliamentary motion to say we want to postpone this item on the agenda until the next meeting. Not to talk about the substance of it, but really the core issue of what postponing it. And if it fails, then we discuss it tonight.
Okay.
Ms. Voss.
I'd just like to add to that. I think I was confused as well. And so I'm deciding how I want to vote on this, or perhaps make an amendment to the motion. I'm not quite sure exactly what the process is, but it seems like discussing parts of this budget. We have this huge, thick budget that we have to pass by April 15th. Is it appropriate to discuss parts of it now and then postpone the vote, for example, so that we can give some feedback on it? We haven't really had a chance to do that yet.
Well, typically what we had planned to do tonight, just to understand, is that the superintendent was actually going to share all the feedback that he'd gotten from the district. in the surveys and the emails and all the other pieces that he's cataloged for us. And then we were going to go into it from there. But again, so that's an answer to your point of information. But the actual motion on the table is to postpone this item on the agenda until the next meeting. That's the motion, and it's been seconded. So if you don't want to postpone the budget discussion till the next meeting, then you vote no, and if the majority prevails, then we take it back up again.
But before we vote, we could discuss the motion, yes?
You can discuss the motion, but not have a discussion of the budget.
Yes, I
is what I'm
understand
saying,
that.
because that
Okay.
would sort of circumvent, that would sort of undermine the spirit of the motion.
Yes.
So,
I guess I would like to amend the motion, and if that's possible.
well, you can, it would be up to the maker of the motion to allow that. Sort of that's the challenge here. There's been a motion made and seconded, so we really need to vote on the motion. Unless the maker of the motion wants to amend it, or allow you to amend it. We kind of have to dispense with motions that have been made and seconded. What's that? Okay.
I think I'd like to stick with the original motion.
Okay.
And take the vote.
Okay, fine. So there's been a motion made and seconded to postpone item 6 to our next regularly scheduled meeting on April 11th, 2019. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
No.
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 Oh, aye.
Okay.
Opposed. I am
Okay.
opposed.
Okay. Any abstentions? Okay. So then that motion carries with 2 noes, and so it is postponed. Oh, 3 noes. Okay. I thought you would abstain. I apologize.
No, I mean,
Okay. 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 So 3 noes and 7 yeses. So the motion carries. It is postponed. That moves us up to item 7 on the agenda, which is just announcement of our future business and meeting dates. We have a negotiating subcommittee meeting for Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019 at 4 p.m. here in the JFK Community Room for collective bargaining. We have a school committee regular meeting with the Student Advisory Committee on Thursday, April 11th at 6:15 p.m. Here in the JFK Community Room. And we have the school committee mid-year screening meeting on April 28th at 6:45 p.m. in the JFK Community Room. I would now entertain a motion.
That has not been right.
What's that?
April 28th is Sunday.
It may be a Scribner's error, I don't know.
Pretty sure it's April 25th.
Okay.
That can't be.
It certainly well could be. I don't know. I can't remember. You know, the 25th is a Monday. The 28th is a Thursday. Oh, no, that's March. Sorry. Sorry, my bad. You're right, it's a Sunday. So it must be the 25th. Well, so that's a Scribner's error. Okay, I would now entertain a motion to adjourn the school committee. Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? So the meeting of the school committee is adjourned.